about 14 people at once would manage Dean. So he gave away 10% 14 times.
Oh, man.
He was like, all right, we'll work together,
Not
pal.
a businessman.
Oh, sure, it'd be great. He just couldn't tell anybody no. He was too nice. I should manage you. All right, man, we'll do it. Everything's all right there. You sure are a fine little old lunch crowd. I come out first. I watch you people eat. Then that other Italian and Jew come out. Then you got yourself a show. To make it all fair, I should have said Dago and Jew. We don't want any race riots here tonight. But did you see the kinescopes of that show when they finally released them at the Museum of Television in St. Louis?
Mm-mm.
It was Dean, Sammy, Frank.
Was this the one where Carson hosted? Is that Joey Bishop because Bishop was out?
I don't know. I don't remember seeing Johnny Carson, but they found old kinescopes. That it was a benefit that Sinatra did. This is what a fucking greaseball Sinatra was. His benefit was a halfway house for mobsters that had gotten out of jail. Not St. Jude's, not Wounded Warriors, fucking, Tommy two times.
Home.
I just got out of jail. I need a place to stay. Don't, hey, I got you, kid. It's in St. Louis. There's a hot and a cot.
I'll send some whores over, too. You'll have a great time.
Tell him Jilly will get a goat. Like, that was his actual charity. It was a halfway house for mobsters. And when you watch the kinescopes, it's Dean goes on first, and then it's Sammy. And Sammy does impressions of everybody, including Dean and Frank.
Yeah.
And then Frank comes out and bombs. You never saw him?
No, I don't think I have.
He bombed. You can't follow Sammy.
No, you can't.
He's tap dancing. He's doing Dean Martin. He walks out from the wings, walks over to the piano, goes, "How long have I been on, boy?" Perfect timing, perfect impression, like no separation of the guy,
right.
Like as we were talking about. Yeah. And then Frank comes out, Chicago toddling, and you're like, yawn. The other guy danced
and sang and did bits.
Yeah, and and he drummed too.
Yeah, he played drums, trumpet. He could do everything.
On that kinescope, he did it all. And then and when you buy the CD live at the Cafe Villa Venice, Frank was on in the middle.
Oh, really?
Let it be known, Frank was no dummy. I'm not following Smokey the Bear no more. So Frank would go out.
His history.
Yeah, and then Sammy would fucking close with, "What kind of fool am I?" You couldn't follow that shit.
Oh, Sammy was the best.
How long have you been working at K-Rock, Ralph Garman of K-Rock?
I've been doing it like 13 years.
How do you get a gig like that? I would assume a gig that you have at K-Rock, a radio job. It seems like all radio jobs start, and that goes for everybody, including Kevin and Bean and whoever, and Opie and Anthony and Ron. It seems like every radio job starts so low on the totem pole, it's almost discouraging to even get going.
Usually that's the case, and that's why radio people hate me, because that was not the case with me.
What was the case with you?
I was working in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and an act fell out. And I said, no. It was kind of like that. Jimmy Kimmel was doing sports for Kevin and Bean here in Los Angeles, for those of you listening around the country.
I never knew that.
He was a big radio guy, did radio in Vegas, did radio all over the country, ended up doing sports for Kevin and Bean, but also doing voices and characters and writing for them and stuff. And then Adam Carolla joined the crew, and he started doing the same thing, and him and Kimmel hit it off, and they came up with the Man Show idea. Wow. So they left to go do the Man Show for Comedy Central. And when they were leaving, Kevin and Bean said, "We need somebody, anybody who does voices, anybody who can write stuff, anybody who can do kind of what you guys do for us. Do you have any suggestions? Because we don't have anybody." And I was friends with Carolla at the time. We had done sketch and improv comedy together, and we're roommates, actually, for years.
Really?
Yeah. And I'd met Jimmy through Carolla. And so those guys said, "Yeah, there's a guy we know who does voices, and he's pretty quick. He does improv and sketch and stuff. You should talk to him." And I had no idea who these guys were. So I met with them, and they didn't like me, and I was not...
Wait. Kevin and Bean didn't like you?
No, because I wasn't a radio guy. They were looking for a radio professional. Jimmy,
hey, rape kit and crawl space in the morning. Let's go to weather with Spice
Bing bong, watermelon in the belt buckle here.
Spice rack.
So I said, I don't know about this. I don't know anything about the radio. I'd never heard the show, because I was...
You're a Philly guguy.
And I was a bartender at the time, in between acting gigs, so I was sleeping in until...
I think I'm about to get shit on.
I think you are, too.
Keep going.
I was a bartender in between acting gigs, so I'd sleep in till noon every day. I never heard morning radio in L.A. And so they said, "Okay, look, we don't have anybody, so you just do it for like 3 months until we can find somebody for real." And I said, that sounds like a good
and do
a lot
what
of time.
Specifically?
Write bits for them. Do at the time character voices. We would do phony phone calls or talking to some make-believe expert about some news story or something. Do comedy bits, phone-ins and stuff like that. And then I would after 3 months, they would find a real professional radio person, and I would go my separate way, and then that would be the end of the arrangement. And that was 13 years ago. So I started on the #1 morning radio show in Los Angeles. That was the first radio I'd ever done.
But, I mean, you probably deserve more credit than you even get because at that time, I'm guessing if you said they didn't like you, you didn't know what they really wanted. Like now, it's a well-oiled machine. You know exactly what's expected of you and what's to come. But they go, just write us some bits, and then you come in, you do some stuff. You're probably home in your apartment going, what bits? Like, I don't even know what so they want stuff about the McNeil-Lair report? So they want money news? Do they want sports?
That's what I started doing. I started looking through the newspaper, looking for interesting, weird news items, and I'd say, here's an item, you should call this guy about this thing, and I'll play the guy on the other end of the phone, basically. That's how we started. And then I suggested, look, I'm in the entertainment business, or trying to be anyway. I know a lot of trivia and stuff and everything. Why don't I do an entertainment news break?
You pitched that to them.
I pitched that to them.
How long in before, I mean, that takes a lot of balls. You got pinched. It takes a lot of balls. You kept your mouth shut. How long in before you said, hey, I have an idea how you guys can use me? How long?
Pretty early on.
Really?
But that was ego driven though, because I was doing stuff and I wanted to be on the air more as myself and less as just these anonymous voices who would be on the end of the phone.
Yeah.
So they were doing once a show, they would do this little break on entertainment news, and it was just them reading stories. And I said, let me take that over and I'll put a spin on it. I'll throw some voices in there, impressions and things, and we'll make it a little bit.
And then you guys can concentrate on playing No Doubt again.
Over again, and Red Hot Chili Peppers again. And so
in all fairness, let me put a pin in that. In all fairness, if they had their druthers, they would play other shit. But in radio, there's program directors, and it's a giant corporation that says, this is what you must do. And you know what? Anybody listening anywhere in the country to this podcast that goes, I fucking won't back down by Tom Petty again. There's a guy that you've never met that's so far up the ladder that goes, why did I only hear won't back down 4 times today and not 11?
Right.
So
they get a call from Tom Petty's record label that says, if you want the new Petty or you want this other artist.
If you want Tom Petty at Acoustic Christmas Concert, you better start playing that fucking tune.
A little heavier than you're doing, yeah.
Wow.
And they hand you a list at the beginning of the show. They hand you a list of songs in the order that you're going to play them, and they say, this is what you're playing today. But if we could, we'd get away with, no music. We'd rather play nothing and just do bits all day.
Is there any room to just play some shit that you like?
No.
None.
Those days are gone.
So you would have to
take that Petty song, The Last DJ,
Yeah.
That era of disc jockey is a thing of the past. There's none of that anymore.
So like if you guys are having a conversation, you go, you never heard that Jane's Addiction song where the guy blah blah blah, and you can't go find it, Muggs, and then Muggs finds it, and you can't just drop it in and play the song in its entirety and go take a leak.
No.
I don't think people have any idea how structured and formatted radio is.
Well, all of entertainment is. It's all corporations now. They call the shots.
And that's why podcast, Kevin Smith, Ralph Garman is on a great podcast called Hollywood Babylon. Hollywood Babylon. I saw what you did there.
See?
He took Hollywood Babylon and made it Babble-on.
Because we babble on about
babble on.
Show business.
And you're a good company. One of my favorite expressions is tell me who you're with and I'll tell you who you are. And the fact that you're with Kevin and Bean in the morning and Kevin Smith at night, you're obviously a talented fucking guy. I don't know why I have to swear there. You're obviously a talented young man.
I have friends.
Ralph, you're a talented guy.
I discovered, Kevin Smith, there was a falling out of the show.
An axe fell out.
You'll never walk alone.
Bring out the young 8-year-old in the suit that does show tunes. Makes everybody uncomfortable.
Ed, show me the numbers, do me, timpani, yeah.
Who's the kid that comes out on every telecast or every telethon of Jerry Lewis? He started like as an 8-year-old Sinatra singer.
Yeah.
And now he's like 20, but he still acts like he's a fucking Shirley Temple precocious kid. You know the
comes
kid
out in short pants and a big bow tie
and he's like,
a giant lollipop.
Yeah, he's always like, I took a trip on a train.
It's not as impressive anymore when you're 20.
Do you know who that kid is?
That dog's going to throw up on you.
No,
now.
she's all right. I have a puppy, and I'm trying to get her to like me, so I'm holding her during the podcast. Do you know who that kid is that I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about, but I don't remember his name.
Thank God. You know what? Fuck you, kid. Nobody even knows your name, you little fucking precocious asshole. There's some.
I used to watch the telethon.
I watch every year. My wife goes, don't forget, tomorrow the stars come out. And I go, what? She goes, with Jerry. The
Not
stars
anymore.
come out.
Stars don't come out anymore.
No more.
Now it's Jack Jones and Jeff Dunham and one of his racist puppets.
Oh, the best. The line. I got to give you the line of the night from K-Rock's Acoustic Christmas, and somehow we forgot to say it. But Eddie F. called me to remind me of it yesterday. Oh. Don't forget I had the line of the night. when we were watching Brad Williams get a standing ovation on stage. Eddie Ift goes, "This is like Jeff Dunham without Dunham." It was maybe the single greatest line of the night. Better than anything anybody said on stage. So, yeah, that's what's great about podcasting. And you do Hollywood Babylon with Kevin Smith, and is that there is no program director.
Nope.
And the only time we do commercials and stuff is because we want to keep it moving and we have to pay for bandwidth to bore everybody.
Right.
But no, with you and Cohen here, I know that there's a large nerd contingent. And Cohen the other day, when we were interviewing Chris Columbus, goes, "You know what, dude? I prefer geek. I'm going to be honest with you. Kind of fucking put me in my place."
Geek is the preference.
He's a fucking put me in my place. Can you believe the fucking his fucking kid? Fucking rat. Whole family of fucking rats.
No, geek is the preferred term. Yeah, it's like Trekker and Trekkie. You know,
which one is the one? Trekker.
Trekker is searching. What they prefer. Yes,
because you're searching. If you're a Trekker, you're searching.
Trekkie sounds silly.
Trekker. A trek has been put upon you. Cohen, you're in charge of following where that teacup Pomeranian rolls to. There's no such thing as a teacup Pom. I know. Shut up. Well, what's great about podcasting, and Kevin said this to me when I asked him, I don't think people realize, when I wanted to do a podcast, I tweeted, I want to do a podcast, and I put at Adam Carolla, at Earwolf, at Heidi and Frank, at Nerdist, at everybody.
Right.
And I didn't know Kevin Smith had one, and it was Kevin who called me on my telephone and said, "I got you covered." But it was like 5 days of me tweeting like, "I really want to do this for real. I really want to do this for real." And one of my favorite, another expression I love is, desperation has a very distinct scent.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to thank Kevin by picking me up by the bootstraps before I descended into that desperation stank.
Well, it was a perfect match because Smith had this burgeoning internet network, the Smodcast Internet Radio, and he was looking for talent. And when he told me, he said, "I saw Jay Mohr's tweeting, wants to do a podcast. It'd be perfect for us." So he jumped at the chance because he knew you were funny and you knew that's all it takes. Because you mentioned, like with podcasts, it's so content driven. You don't have a corporation telling you what to do. You don't have a lot of bells and whistles. You have to deliver. You have to be interesting or funny or whatever it is that you do. You got to do it or else people won't come back and listen again. So they knew you'd be a hit, and you are.
It is a perfect forum for somebody that can never shut up.
It's ideal. It's ideal. No commercial breaks, no songs to play, no nothing. You die in terrestrial radio. You would lose your mind because it's so frustrating. Every 8 minutes, 7 minutes, you have to stop. You have to wrap it up. You have to reset the next thing. You got to go into a stop set with commercials and songs, come back, reset again. I mean, it's so fragmented. It's so disjointed. It's a nightmare.
And it's every day. That's what would kill me more is the everyday. I always need an out. That's why I love doing movies, is that in a month, we all go home.
You're done. Yeah.
And a TV show, you got the hiatus, or in my case, you get canceled.
You get longer out than you expected.
I mean, really on a TV show, if you are paid in perpetuity and it's the most successful thing in the world, you're looking at a 5-year job. And then you're done and you do something else. How long can radio and podcasting coexist before I would think podcasting, these corporations are eventually going to try to gobble podcasting.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to happen, but it will happen at some point. The big money always seems to gobble everything up to make more money off of it. And
so I guess it's up to the Go ahead.
The key, I think, is as a podcaster, you are sort of the product, and then as the demand rises, as they start to buy these things up, it's like the internet boom. If you've got a website that people want, you can charge a ridiculous amount of money for it because you are the guy. And I think that's the only hope that podcasters have, is to be able to sell eventually when that swing happens and make yourself a ton of money.
I think it's also up to us, like Ralph Garman, me, you, Ben Glebe, Matt Cohen, bagged and boarded. It's up to the podcasters, though, at that moment when the corporations come in to gobble it up, to go, hold on a second. This is my shit. And we have to really make sure that we don't give enough of it away where we lose what's great about podcasting, and that is swearing. Fucking Jim Jeffries called Asians rock apes sitting. I mean, we got it. And as awful as that sounds, that's what we need to hold on to.
Yeah.
Is that horrible, horrible, horribleness that everyone listening in their cars go, I will never hear this on any other show on terrestrial radio. And like Hollywood Babylon, when you guys do your show, you guys can get away with shit that you could never get away with on terrestrial radio.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're on the best terrestrial radio show. I mean, okay, I can count on one hand terrestrial radio shows that if I live in that town, I listen to. Kevin and Bean. If I live in Denver, I would listen to Lewis and Floorwax every day.
Right.
I listen to sports radio the most. But again, like you said, you got to hit those freaking posts.
And you are hamstrung, too, in terms of what you can talk about, what you can say. Even stuff that's not like an FCC violation, just your tone. So many people are so quick to be offended now and complain and bitch and moan. And the corporations, where they used to take a stand and would defend